My daughter stood up at the fancy restaurant, raised her wine glass high in the air, and shouted loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mom is our personal ATM machine. Order whatever you want. She's paying." The whole room exploded with laughter. 30 relatives pointed at the most expensive things on the menu. Giant lobsters, fancy steaks, wine bottles that cost more than a new television, desserts with names so complicated that nobody could even say them right. And me? I just sat there, frozen, like a statue made of ice. If you want to know what I did next, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this story. My name is Margaret Rose. I'm 67 years old, and I used to be a teacher. For 40 years, I taught children how to read and write. I wasn't rich, but I had saved money my whole life. Good, honest money from working hard every single day. But on that terrible night at the restaurant, I realized something that broke my heart into a million pieces. My own daughter didn't see me as her mother anymore. She saw me as a machine that gave out money whenever she pushed the right buttons. Let me go back to the beginning so you understand how everything went so wrong. My daughter's name is Jessica. She's 40 years old now. When she was little, she was the sweetest child you could ever imagine. She would pick flowers from the garden and bring them to me. She would draw pictures of the two of us holding hands under a big rainbow. She would say, "Mommy, I love you more than ice cream." Those were beautiful days. But something changed as she grew up. Maybe I'm the one who made the mistake. Maybe I gave her too much. Maybe I never taught her the word no. After my husband Thomas died 8 years ago, everything got worse. Thomas had a heart attack one sunny afternoon while he was fixing the fence in our backyard. Just like that, he was gone. The love of my life. My best friend. My partner for 35 years. I was so sad. So lonely. So lost. And Jessica? She saw an opportunity. The first time it happened, I didn't even notice. Jessica came to visit me 3 weeks after the funeral. She hugged me and said, "Mom, I'm so sorry about Dad. I wish I could help you feel better." I cried in her arms. It felt good to have my daughter there. Then, just as she was leaving, she said, "Oh, Mom? One tiny thing. My car broke down yesterday, and the repair shop says it'll cost $800 to fix. I don't have that kind of money right now. Could you possibly help me? Just this once." What was I supposed to say? My daughter needed help. That's what mothers do, right? They help their children. So I wrote her a check for $800. She kissed my cheek and said, "You're the best mom in the whole world. I'll pay you back next month, I promise." But next month came and went. No money. Not even a phone call to explain. Then 2 months later, Jessica called again. "Mom, I have a huge problem. Derek lost his job." Derek is her husband. "We can't pay rent this month. We might get kicked out of our apartment. Could you loan us $1,200? Please? We're desperate." Again, I said yes. Because that's what I always did. $1,200 became $1,500 the next time. Then $2,000. Then $3,000. Every few months, there was a new emergency. A new crisis. A new reason why Jessica absolutely needed my money right now. Her son needed expensive school supplies. Her daughter needed braces. The washing machine broke. The refrigerator stopped working. Derek's car needed new tires. Jessica wanted to start a business selling handmade jewelry, but she needed $5,000 to buy supplies. On and on and on. I paid for everything. And you know what? Jessica never paid me back. Not once. Not even $1. But it wasn't just Jessica who treated me like an ATM machine. My sister Carol started calling me every month, always at the end of the month when bills were due. "Margaret, sweetie, could you lend me just a little bit of money? Things are tight right now, you know how it is." Carol lived in a bigger house than me. She drove a newer car than me. She went out to eat at fancy restaurants every weekend. But somehow, she was always broke when it came time to pay her bills. I gave her money too. Hundreds of dollars. Sometimes thousands. My cousin Rita was the same way. Every time we met at family gatherings, she would pull me aside and whisper in my ear, "Margaret, honey, I hate to ask, but my son needs money for college applications. Could you help us out?" "You're such an angel." I wasn't an angel. I was a fool. But the worst part? None of them ever said thank you in a real way. They would hug me and call me wonderful and tell me I was the best sister, the best cousin, the best mother in the world. But their words were empty, like balloons filled with nothing but air. I remember last Christmas, I spent 3 whole weeks finding the perfect presents for everyone. For Jessica, I bought an expensive set of cooking pots she'd mentioned wanting. For Derek, I found a beautiful watch. For the grandchildren, I bought toys and games I knew they would love. When Jessica opened her present on Christmas morning, she looked at it for exactly 2 seconds. Then she said, "Oh, thanks, Mom. But honestly, I would have preferred cash, so I could buy what I really need." She didn't even hug me. That night, I drove home alone in my car, and I cried the whole way. Big, heavy tears that made it hard to see the road. I wasn't crying about the money. I was crying because my daughter didn't see me anymore. She didn't see Margaret Rose, the woman who gave birth to her, who stayed up all night when she was sick as a baby, who taught her how to ride a bicycle, who cheered at every school play, who sacrificed everything to give her a good life. All Jessica saw was a wallet with legs. But even after that terrible Christmas, I still kept giving. I still kept paying. I still kept being the silent, reliable family ATM. Until 3 weeks ago. That's when Jessica called me on a Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in my living room, reading a book and drinking tea. "Mom, I have wonderful news." Jessica's voice sounded sweeter than usual. Too sweet. Like candy that makes your teeth hurt. "What is it, honey?" I asked. "I want to throw a special family dinner to thank you for everything you've done for us over the years. You deserve it, Mom. You've been so generous and kind, and we want to celebrate you." My heart jumped a little. Could it be true? Was my daughter finally seeing me as a real person? Was she finally grateful? "A dinner?" I said carefully. "Yes. At the Golden Crown. You know, that super fancy restaurant downtown? I'm inviting the whole family. It'll be beautiful. This Saturday at 7 o'clock. Can you come?" Something in my stomach felt wrong, like when you eat food that's gone bad. But I pushed that feeling away. "Of course I'll come," I said. "Perfect." Jessica squealed. "Where?" "Something nice, Mom. This is your special night." After I hung up the phone, I sat very still for a long time. Was this really a celebration? Or was it something else? I spent the next few days getting ready. I bought a new dress, soft and blue like the sky. I went to the hair salon. I even bought pearl earrings that I'd been looking at for years but never bought because I was always saving money to help someone else. For once, I wanted to feel special. Saturday came. I arrived at the Golden Crown at exactly 7 o'clock. It was the fanciest restaurant I'd ever seen. Huge crystal lights hanging from the ceiling. White tablecloths so clean they sparkled. Waiters in suits that probably cost more than my monthly bills. A woman in a black dress smiled at me. "Mrs. Rose? Right this way, please." She led me through the restaurant to a private room in the back. When the doors opened, my blood turned to ice. There weren't just a few people there. There were 30 people. 30. And every single one of them was looking at me like a hungry wolf looks at a little rabbit. Jessica stood at the head of the table, wearing a green dress that probably cost more than I earned in an entire month of teaching. Her husband Derek stood next to her, holding a glass of wine and smiling that fake smile he always wore when he knew something bad was about to happen. I saw my sister Carol sitting near the front, and her eyes had that greedy sparkle they always got when she smelled an opportunity to get something for free. My cousin Rita was there too, along with her son Marcus. And there were so many other people. Cousins I hadn't seen in years. Jessica's neighbors. Some of Derek's friends I barely even knew. Why were all these people here? "Emma, you made it," Jessica shouted, rushing toward me with open arms. She hugged me, but it felt cold. like hugging a mannequin in a store window. This hug wasn't for me. It was for everyone watching. Look how many people came to celebrate you, Jessica said loudly. Everyone is here because of you. My throat felt tight. My hands started shaking. This didn't feel like a celebration. This felt like a trap. But I was already there. 30 pairs of eyes were staring at me. So I smiled even though my heart was pounding like a drum, and I said hello to everyone. They sat me down in the center of the main table, in a big chair that looked almost like a throne. I felt like a queen, but not in a good way. More like a queen about to be judged by her people. Jessica picked up a knife and tapped it against her wine glass. Ting, ting, ting. The whole room went silent. I want to make a toast, Jessica announced, and for just 1 second, my heart filled with hope. Maybe this was real. Maybe my daughter really did appreciate me. To my mother, Margaret Rose, Jessica began, and people started smiling. The woman who has always been there for us. The woman who never says no. The woman who always has her wallet open and ready to help. People started clapping. Some were nodding. I felt tears coming to my eyes. But then Jessica kept talking. My mom is like our very own personal ATM machine, she said with a big laugh. Whenever we need money, we just press the right buttons and out it comes. The room exploded with laughter. My face went hot. My chest felt like someone was squeezing it with both hands. Did she really just call me an ATM machine? In front of everyone? So tonight, Jessica continued, raising her glass even higher, we're going to celebrate the woman who pays for everything. Mom, this dinner is for you, so everyone should order whatever they want. The sky's the limit. Mom's got it covered. And that's when it happened. 30 people started grabbing their menus and pointing at the most expensive items on the list. I'll have the Maine lobster, someone shouted. The imported steak for me, another voice called out. Bring us your best wine, Carol yelled. The French one that costs $300 a bottle. I want 4 desserts. Rita's son Marcus announced. All the ones with gold flakes on top. The waiters started running from table to table, writing down order after order after order. Jessica sat down next to me and patted my hand. Isn't this wonderful, Mom? Everyone's so happy. I couldn't speak. My voice was stuck somewhere deep in my throat, like a bird trapped in a cage. Derek leaned over and said, Don't worry, Mrs. Rose. We'll try not to make the bill too crazy. Then he laughed like he'd just told the funniest joke in the world. But nobody was trying to keep the bill low. In fact, they were doing the opposite. I watched as Carol ordered 3 different appetizers just for herself. I watched as Rita ordered champagne for her entire table. I watched as Jessica's neighbors, people I'd met maybe twice in my life, ordered bottles of wine like they were ordering water. And everyone kept looking at me, pointing at me, laughing. Thank you, Margaret, someone shouted. You're the best, Aunt Margaret, another voice called out. But their words felt like knives stabbing into my heart. The food started arriving. Giant plates of lobster with butter dripping down the sides. Steaks so big they hung off the edges of the plates. Fancy salads with flowers on top that you could actually eat. Pasta dishes covered in truffles that cost more per ounce than gold. And the wine. The wine. Bottle after bottle after bottle. People were eating like they'd never seen food before. Like this was their last meal on earth. Jessica stood up again and clinked her glass. Another toast. To MOM, who makes all of this possible. We love you, Mom. Well, we love your wallet. She burst out laughing at her own joke. More laughter filled the room. People were slapping the table. Some were crying from laughing so hard. I felt like I was drowning. Like I was underwater and couldn't breathe. My sister Carol leaned toward me and whispered, This is so fun, Margaret. You should do this more often. Maybe once a month. She winked at me like we were sharing a wonderful secret. That's when something inside me cracked. Like a glass that's been hit too many times and finally breaks into 1,000 pieces. I looked around the room at all these people. These people who called themselves my family. These people who claimed to love me. But they didn't love me. They loved my money. They loved what I could do for them. They loved that I was easy to use. They loved that I never said no, that I never complained, that I just kept giving and giving and giving until there was almost nothing left of me. I thought about all the times I'd helped Jessica, all the thousands of dollars I'd given her over the years. Money I'd saved by working hard for 40 years. Money I was supposed to use to travel the world, to see the ocean, to finally rest after a lifetime of work. Instead, that money went to Jessica's rent, to Jessica's car, to Jessica's failed business ideas, to Jessica's new car when the old one was perfectly fine, to Jessica's vacation to Hawaii, to Jessica's new furniture, to Jessica's everything. And this was how she thanked me? By calling me an ATM machine in front of 30 people? By letting everyone order whatever they wanted and stick me with the bill? The desserts started arriving. Huge pieces of cake covered in gold. Ice cream in fancy glasses. Chocolate sculptures that looked like works of art. People were eating until their bellies were full, and then they kept eating more. Because it was free. Because someone else was paying. Because I was paying. I felt sick to my stomach. Not from the food. I hadn't eaten a single bite. But from the truth that was finally hitting me like a ton of bricks. I had done this to myself. I had taught them to treat me this way. Every time I said yes, when I should have said no. Every time I opened my wallet when I should have kept it closed. Every time I let them walk all over me without standing up for myself. I had built this monster with my own 2 hands. The head waiter appeared next to the table carrying a small silver tray. On that tray was a piece of paper folded in half. The bill. He walked straight toward me and placed it in front of me with a polite smile. "Whenever you're ready, ma'am," he said quietly. My hands were shaking as I picked up that piece of paper. I unfolded it slowly, already knowing it was going to be bad. But I wasn't prepared for how bad. $15,000. $15,000. For one dinner. My vision went blurry. The room started spinning. I felt like I might faint right there at the table. All around me, 30 people went quiet. They were all watching me now, waiting to see what I would do. Waiting for me to pull out my credit card, like I always did. Waiting for me to smile and say, "Don't worry, everyone. It's my treat." Jessica was staring at me with her eyebrows raised, like she was challenging me. Like she was saying, "Go ahead, Mom. Pay up. That's what you do, remember?" I sat there for what felt like a million years, but was probably only 10 seconds. And then something amazing happened. I felt a strange calmness wash over me, like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. My hands stopped shaking. My heart stopped pounding. I looked at that bill. I looked at my daughter. I looked at all 30 of those people who had just used me for the last time. And I smiled. A real smile this time. Not a fake one. Not a polite one. But a smile that came from deep inside my soul. I picked up my purse. I stood up slowly from my throne-like chair. And I said in a clear, calm voice that everyone could hear, "I need to use the restroom for a moment. I'll be right back." Then I turned around, and I started walking. Past the tables covered with empty plates and empty wine bottles. Past the waiters who were already bringing out more desserts that nobody had even ordered. Past the crystal chandelier sparkling above my head like 1,000 diamonds. I walked with my back straight and my head held high. And when I reached the main door of the restaurant, I didn't stop. I walked right through it. I stepped outside into the cool night air. I saw a taxi driving by, and I raised my hand high in the air. The taxi stopped. I got inside, and I said 5 words that changed my entire life. "Take me home, please." Quickly. As the taxi pulled away from the Golden Crown restaurant, I looked back through the rear window one last time. I could see the lit-up windows of the private dining room. I could imagine the 30 people inside, still eating, still drinking, still laughing, still waiting for me to come back from the restroom and pay their $15,000 bill. But I was never going back. Not tonight. Not ever. And for the first time in 8 long years, I felt something I'd almost forgotten existed. I felt free. My hands were shaking as I picked up that piece of paper. I unfolded it slowly, already knowing it was going to be bad. But I wasn't prepared for how bad. $15,000. $15,000. For one dinner. My vision went blurry. The room started spinning. I felt like I might faint right there at the table. All around me, 30 people went quiet. They were all watching me now, waiting to see what I would do. Waiting for me to pull out my credit card, like I always did. Waiting for me to smile and say, "Don't worry, everyone. It's my treat." Jessica was staring at me with her eyebrows raised, like she was challenging me. Like she was saying, "Go ahead, Mom. Pay up. That's what you do, remember?" I sat there for what felt like a million years, but was probably only 10 seconds. And then something amazing happened. I felt a strange calmness wash over me, like a cool breeze on a hot summer day. My hands stopped shaking. My heart stopped pounding. I looked at that bill. I looked at my daughter. I looked at all 30 of those people who had just used me for the last time. And I smiled.
A real smile this time.
Not a fake one. Not a polite one. But a smile that came from deep inside my soul. I picked up my purse. I stood up slowly from my throne-like chair. And I said in a clear, calm voice that everyone could hear, "I need to use the restroom for a moment. I'll be right back." Then I turned around, and I started walking. Past the tables covered with empty plates and empty wine bottles. Past the waiters who were already bringing out more desserts that nobody had even ordered. Past the crystal chandelier sparkling above my head like 1,000 diamonds. I walked with my back straight and my head held high. And when I reached the main door of the restaurant, I didn't stop. I walked right through it. I stepped outside into the cool night air. I saw a taxi driving by, and I raised my hand high in the air. The taxi stopped. I got inside, and I said 5 words that changed my entire life. "Take me home, please." Quickly. As the taxi pulled away from the Golden Crown restaurant, I looked back through the rear window one last time. I could see the lit-up windows of the private dining room. I could imagine the 30 people inside, still eating, still drinking, still laughing, still waiting for me to come back from the restroom and pay their $15,000 bill. But I was never going back. Not tonight. Not ever. And for the first time in 8 long years, I felt something I'd almost forgotten existed. I felt free. The taxi driver looked at me through his mirror. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked. "You look like you just saw a ghost." I laughed. Actually laughed. A real, genuine laugh that came from deep in my belly. "I'm better than okay," I told him. I just did something I should have done years ago. When I got home, I locked my door, turned off all the lights, and unplugged my phone from the wall. Then I sat in my favorite chair in the dark and waited. I didn't have to wait long. My phone started buzzing like an angry bee. Even though it was unplugged from the wall, it still had battery, and it was ringing like crazy. Jessica. Carol. Rita.
Derek.
Unknown numbers. Everyone was calling. I didn't answer. Not even once. Instead, I sat there in the darkness and smiled. Because I knew what was happening at the Golden Crown restaurant. And it was beautiful. Here's what I found out later from my friend Dorothy, who heard the story from her niece who worked at the restaurant. About 10 minutes after I left, people started getting worried. "Where's Margaret?" someone asked. "She's been gone a long time," another voice said. Jessica sent Derek to check the women's bathroom. He came back looking confused. "She's not there," he reported. 5 more minutes passed. Then 10. Then 15. That's when Jessica started to panic. She ran to the front of the restaurant and asked the hostess, "Did you see an older woman in a blue dress leave?" The hostess smiled politely. "Oh yes. She got into a taxi about 20 minutes ago." Jessica's face went white, like someone had drained all the blood right out of her body. She ran back to the private dining room and shouted, "MOM left. She's gone." You could have heard a pin drop. Carol stood up fast, knocking over her wine glass. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth like blood. "What do you mean she left? She can't just leave." "Well, she did," Jessica screamed. That's when the head waiter appeared in the doorway, still holding that silver tray with the $15,000 bill on it. "Excuse me," he said in a voice that was polite but firm. "Someone needs to settle the bill now." We need payment immediately. Everyone in that room started looking at each other. 30 people, all staring around like scared rabbits. Jessica, you invited us. Carol said, her voice getting loud. You said it was covered. I said MOM was covering it. Jessica shot back. She was supposed to pay. Well, she's not here. Rita shouted. So, what are we supposed to do? The waiter cleared his throat. If no one can pay the full amount, we'll need to split the bill among all the guests. Do the math. $15,000 divided by 30 people equals $500 per person. $500. The room exploded into chaos. I don't have $500, someone yelled. I only have $50 in my bank account, another person cried. I came here because I thought it was free, Marcus shouted. Jessica tried calling me. Over and over and over. But I didn't answer. She left me voicemails. Angry ones at first. Mom, this isn't funny. Get back here right now. You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. Then the voicemails got desperate. Mom, please. I don't have this kind of money. You have to help me. Please call me back. But I didn't call back. I just sat in my dark living room, listening to message after message, feeling more free with each one. Eventually, here's what happened at the restaurant. Jessica had to call Derek's brother and beg him to bring his credit card. Between Jessica, Derek, Carol, Rita, and a few others, they managed to scrape together enough money to pay the bill. But it cleaned them out completely. Jessica had to put $6,000 on her credit card. Money she didn't have. Money she'd now be paying interest on for years. Carol had to empty her savings account. The savings she'd been bragging about for months. Rita had to borrow money from her ex-husband, which she swore she would never do. And everyone else? They had to chip in whatever they could, even if it meant their bank accounts hit zero. The restaurant manager let them leave, but he told them they were banned from ever coming back. Jessica came to my house the next morning. I saw her through my window, standing on my porch, knocking on my door. Emma, I know you're in there. Open up. I didn't open the door. She knocked for 30 minutes straight. Then she sat on my porch steps and cried. Big, loud sobs that the whole neighborhood could probably hear. But I didn't feel bad. Not even a little bit. She finally left when it started raining. Over the next few days, I got hundreds of messages, texts, emails, voicemails. Even handwritten letters slipped under my door. Everyone wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to explain. Everyone wanted to apologize, but only because they wanted something from me. Jessica's message said, Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. It was just a joke. Please forgive me. Also, I really need help with my credit card bill now. It's $6,000 and I can't afford the payments. Even in her apology, she was asking for money. Carol wrote, Margaret, you overreacted. It was supposed to be fun. But fine, I forgive you. Can you loan me $2,000? I had to empty my savings because of that dinner. Rita sent a text. That was really mean what you did, leaving us like that.
But family is family, right?
Can we talk? I need to borrow some money for Marcus's college. Every single message was the same. They were all sorry, but they all wanted money. I deleted every message without responding. Then I did something amazing. I changed my phone number. I didn't give the new number to anyone in my family. I opened a new email address. A secret one that only my friends knew about. And I made a decision. A decision that changed my entire life. I was done being the family ATM, forever. If you're loving this story of Margaret finally standing up for herself, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Margaret's situation. Your support means everything. 3 months have passed since that terrible dinner. And let me tell you what my life looks like now. I wake up every morning and make myself a cup of coffee. Good coffee, the expensive kind I never bought before because I was always saving money for everyone else. I sit on my back porch and watch the birds. I read books. I take long walks in the park. And I smile. A real, genuine smile that comes from deep inside my heart. Last month, I did something I'd been dreaming about for 20 years. I booked a trip to the ocean. A little beach house in South Carolina, right on the sand. I stayed there for 2 whole weeks, walking on the beach every morning, collecting seashells, watching the sunset every single night. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just went. And it was the most beautiful 2 weeks of my entire life. I also started seeing a therapist named Dr. Williams. She helped me understand something important. Margaret, she told me during one of our sessions, you taught people how to treat you. Every time you said yes when you meant to no, you taught them that your feelings didn't matter, that you had no limits, that they could take and take and take, and you would never stop them. She was right. I had been so afraid of being alone, so afraid of my family not loving me, that I let them treat me like a thing instead of a person.
But now?
I'm not afraid anymore.